Here's the thing about the Azure AI Engineer Associate exam. Microsoft loves giving you 4 options that all sound reasonable, but only one is right. And the difference? It often comes down to one word. Deployment name versus deployment endpoint. Speech recognizer versus speech synthesizer. Document intelligence versus AI language. Today, we're going through 10 real exam-style questions. And I promise you, at least 2 of these will catch you off guard. Let's find out which ones. Welcome to PrepMyCert. This is the Azure AI Engineer Associate Certification. 10 questions. 10 chances to test yourself before the real thing. Let's go. Alright, starting off with a scenario that sounds more complex than it actually is. You're building an internet-based training solution where the user's camera and microphone stay on. You need to detect when a user asks the instructor a question. The solution must minimize development effort. What do you include? The answer is A, speech-to-text in Azure AI Speech. Here's why this trips people up. The question mentions a video stream and a camera, so your brain jumps to vision services. But what are you actually detecting? Someone asking a question. That's speech. That's audio. Spatial analysis tracks movement in physical space. Content moderation flags inappropriate content. Custom vision detects objects and images. None of them understand what someone is saying. Speech-to-text does. Next up, Azure OpenAI Security. This is one of those questions where 2 answers look almost identical. You have an Azure OpenAI resource hosting 3 GPT deployments. You're deploying 3 apps that access it via REST API. You need to provide access and ensure only these apps can reach the resource. What should you use? It's A, an API key. Azure OpenAI's primary authentication method for REST API calls is the API key. You include it in the request header, and that's it. Bearer tokens involve OAuth 2.0 flows, which adds complexity the question doesn't require. SAS tokens? Those are for Azure storage, blobs, queues, tables, not AI services. The API key is straightforward, it restricts access, and it's what Azure OpenAI expects. Now here's the follow-up, and this is where the trap is. Same scenario. 3 deployments, 3 apps. But now the question asks, what should each app use to connect to its appropriate deployment? Not the resource, the specific deployment. The answer is C, the deployment name. This is the question that separates people who've used the API from those who've just read about it. Azure OpenAI has 1 endpoint per resource. You don't get separate endpoints for each deployment. Instead, you include the deployment name in the URL path. The API key gets you in the door, but the deployment name tells Azure which model to use. Deployment type just refers to the model family like GPT-4. It's not a routing mechanism. Switching gears to security. This one is about locking down access to AI services. You're using Azure AI Language service to process sensitive customer data. You need to ensure only specific Azure processes can access it. The solution must minimize administrative effort. What do you include? D. Virtual network rules. Azure AI services have built-in firewall settings where you can add virtual network rules using service endpoints. You just specify which subnets are allowed. Done. IPsec requires complex VPN tunnel configuration. Application Gateway is a web traffic load balancer, not a security boundary for AI services. A VNet gateway connects on-premises networks to Azure, which is way more infrastructure than you need here. Virtual network rules are minimal effort and purpose-built for this. Now, document intelligence. This one tests whether you understand how custom models evolve over time. You have an app using a custom document intelligence model for contract documents. You need to support an additional contract format while minimizing development effort. What should you do? C. Add the new format to your existing training set and retrain. This is the efficient approach. Your model already knows how to read your current contracts. You don't throw that away. You augment the training data with examples of the new format and retrain. Building a whole new model from scratch duplicates work. And lowering confidence or accuracy thresholds. That doesn't teach the model anything new. It just makes it less reliable. Retraining is the answer. Okay, the next two questions go together. Same scenario, two different asks. Pay attention to exactly what's being asked. You have press releases stored as PDF files. You need to extract text from them and perform sentiment analysis. First question, which service extracts the text? C. Azure AI Document Intelligence. It's right there in the name, Document Intelligence. It's built for extracting text, tables, and structured data from documents, including PDFs. AI search can index content, but isn't optimized for raw extraction. AI-vision handles images, not documents. And AI language? That's what you use after you extract the text. This is step one of a two-step pipeline. Same press releases, same PDFs, but now the question changes. You've extracted the text. Now you need to perform sentiment analysis. Which service do you use? D. Azure AI Language. This is the classic two-step pipeline Microsoft loves to test. Document intelligence extracts. Language analyzes. AI language includes built-in sentiment analysis that classifies text as positive, negative, neutral, or mixed. It also does opinion mining at the sentence level. Document intelligence got you the text, but it can't tell you if it's happy or angry. That's language's job. This next one is a Python SDK question. You need to know your packages. You have an Azure AI service model that identifies the intent of text input. You're building a Python app. Which package should you add? B. Azure AI Language Conversations. This is the package for Conversational Language Understanding, or CLU, which is Microsoft's current intent recognition service. The text analytics package handles sentiment, entities, and key phrases, not intent. The management package, Azure Management, is for provisioning resources, not making predictions. And the speech package handles audio, not text intent. If the question says intent, think conversations. Here's a practical one. 20 gigabytes of video on OneDrive. How do you get it into Video Indexer? You have a OneDrive folder with a 20 gigabyte video file. You need to index it using the Azure Video Indexer website. What should you do? C. From OneDrive, create a download link, then paste it into Video Indexer. The keyword here is download link, not sharing link. A sharing link gives you a browser viewing page. A download link gives Video Indexer a direct URL to fetch the file. Uploading to YouTube first is absurd for a 20 gig file. And downloading locally just to re-upload it? That's double the bandwidth and double the time. Let Video Indexer pull it directly from OneDrive. Last one. And this is another one of those pairs where Microsoft tests if you know the difference between two similar-sounding objects. You're building an app that answers customer calls about order status. The app queries a database and provides spoken responses. Which object should you use for converting customer calls into text queries? A. Speech recognizer. Speech recognition goes from audio to text. That's what you need to understand the customer. Speech synthesizer goes the other way, text to audio, which you'd use for the spoken response part. Translation recognizer translates between languages, which the question doesn't require. And voice profile client identifies who is speaking, not what they're saying. Recognizer listens. Synthesizer speaks. Remember that, and you'll never mix them up. And that's all 10. So how did you do? If you got 8 or more, you're in solid shape for the Azure AI Engineer Associate exam. 7 or below. Don't worry. That's exactly why you're here. The important thing is you now know where the traps are. Comment your score below. I want to see how everyone did. If you want the full experience, hundreds of questions just like these, with detailed explanations for every single answer, check out PrepMyCert.com. It's lifetime access, one payment, and if you don't pass your exam, you get a full refund. No questions asked. The link is right there in the description. Go crush that exam.